All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your boy TTG. We're back here with another video. Obviously, you see the title. We're going to be talking about the national championship game from last night, giving my breakdown, my analytical outlook on the game. We'll look at some stats and tell you what I thought. And yeah, just a complete breakdown of my thoughts of the game. And we'll talk about a little bit about my thoughts of the 12-team playoff as a whole. But before we do that, I need you to click the subscribe button. Stop playing around, please. Stop playing around, okay? Click the subscribe button. Comment. Who's your favorite to win the 2025, well, I guess 2026 national championship? The national championship next year, who's your favorite? Ohio State's probably going to be good again. Georgia, Alabama, they're obviously Oregon. There's obviously some favorites out there. Let me know who you think. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the video. All right, guys. So last night, national championship game ended up being pretty entertaining, but early on, it looked like Ohio State was going to run away with it. I do think, and I may be a little biased, I'm not sure. I do think Ohio State got up, especially after they were up 28-7 right after half, tried to coast, and that's how Notre Dame was eventually able to get back and climb back and fight back and claw back into the game, whatever. They were able to get back into it, long story short. So Ohio State ends the year 14-2, national champions. Notre Dame ends the year 14-2. Final score 34-23. I thought the game probably wasn't even that close. But nonetheless, a double-digit win by the Buckeyes. I almost called it. Not really. I predicted 30-14, I think. So I predicted a 16-point win. They got it done with 11 points. Anyway, the game was never really in doubt except for the first drive. What a drive by Notre Dame in the first drive. They met, 16 plays? Let's see. Yeah, 18 plays, 75-yard, 9 minutes and 45 seconds. That had to have been Notre Dame's game plan. Long, methodical drives, keep the game close, shrink the game, and keep Ohio State's explosive offense off the field. They did a great job on the first drive. After that, 21 unanswered by Ohio State in the first half. And then, of course, they come out and score again in the second half. Heck, it might have been 31-7 if I can't remember, to be honest with you. But it was at least 28-7 before Notre Dame could blink their eyes. I thought, yeah, the better team won. No real surprise here. I bet on Ohio State to win I'm going to put a picture of my bet slip up here. My futures bet that hit last night. I didn't put anything crazy on it. I just thought Ohio State was the best team in the college football playoff, most talented. And eventually they would figure it out, and they did. I put a $10 bet on them. I think it paid 47. They were like plus 470 or something to win it all before the playoff started. Anyway, long story short, I thought Ohio State played about as well as you could until after that first score in the second half, they kind of took their foot off the pedal. We're kind of playing not to lose the game, and sometimes that'll bite you. Luckily, it didn't for Ohio State last night. And I thought, all in all, the team looked great. Let's just look at some stats. Will Howard, 17 of 21, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 yards averaged. QBR 99.1. Pretty damn good, if I may say so myself. He looked great early on. There was a couple throws here and there he could have made. I think one was on like 3rd down and 4 or 5. Ohio State's trying to get a first down to pretty much ice the game. And he overthrows or throws it too much towards the boundaries, throwing it to Jeremiah Smith. I remember that when I was like, damn, Will. But regardless, played great. 2 touchdowns. Anytime you have a 99.1 QBR, it's pretty good. Rushing the ball. Ohio State has some success with rushing it as well. Quinshaw Judkins, 11 for 100, 9.1 yards average, 2 touchdowns, and a 70-yard long. Man, he looked explosive, right? Travion Henderson, not quite the night you would expect, 12 for 49, 4.1, but he had some good runs here and there. Will Howard, 16 he carried the ball 16 times. I did not realize that. 57 yards, 3.6 average. So not bad. That includes, I don't know if he got sacked. Let's see if he got sacked. He did. He got sacked twice. So that includes sack yardage. Not bad, just being honest. They did try the jet sweep to Emeka Egbuka worked for 13. I think they ran either a reverse or something like that or either a jet sweep to Jeremiah Smith as well, and he got hit for a big loss. I remember that. But they had 214 yards rushing, and that is counting sack yardage. So 5.2 a pop. They ran the ball successfully, which opened up the play action and just the passing game in general, and Will Howard had a night. Receiving, I was glad to see Jeremiah Smith have a good night again. After he kind of got I don't know. He kind of got taken out of the game plan against Texas, whether that was by Ohio State, which I doubt, or by Texas's defense, which is probably more likely. He didn't have a big game, but this game he did. He had the catch that ultimately sealed the game. 5 catches, 88 yards, 17.6 average, and a touchdown. This kid's only a freshman. I think that was his 15th receiving touchdown of his career, just for stats purposes and to show you how dominant of a year he had as a freshman. Julio Jones had 15 in his whole career. So, Emeka Egbuka, 6 for 64. Another good night for him, 10.7. Carnell Tate, 2 for 35. He had a couple big catches, 17.5 yards per catch. Quinn Sean, 2 for 21 and a touchdown. Brandon Ennis, 1 for 19. And G. Scott, 1 for 4. This is kind of the game plan I expected to see against Texas as well. But you saw where Carnell Tate and G. Scott were more involved in the game plan than they were against any other team in the playoff, in my opinion. Overall, 17 receptions, 231 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Pretty damn good night. The one turnover over the night was a fumble by Egbuka, and it allowed Notre Dame to get back into the game. Well, the way it allowed them to get back in the game is Ohio State was in prime scoring territory, if I remember correctly. It was on like the Notre Dame 20 when he fumbled or something, roughly in that area. And yeah, so shout out to Notre Dame. They took advantage of what they had to do. Let's just look on defense. The defense had 2 sacks. So not a bad night for Notre Dame's offensive line, honestly. And I knew their offensive line was good. But they got 2 sacks. Who had them? Sonny Styles and Tiamoliao. Yeah, pretty good night. They did have 7 tackles for loss, though. Pretty stout in the run game, if I remember correctly. I haven't looked at the stats yet. Riley Leonard, 22 of 31, 255 yards, 8.2 average, 2 touchdowns, 88 QBR. Pretty solid night from Riley Leonard. He also had a pretty good effect running the ball. You saw on that first drive, I think he had 9 carries. Insane. He was throwing up on the sideline. Hats off to Riley Leonard. He played fantastic. I didn't think he would have that much success throwing the ball against Ohio State. Like I said, although Ohio State was up 21 points pretty early on in the second half, and they were giving a lot of cushion and coverage, which I understand that. Steve Angeli, their backup, 0 for 1. They faked the punt. It actually worked. It was the receiver, I can't remember who it was, should have caught the ball. It might have been Faison. Should have caught the ball, didn't. Regardless. And there was some calls by Marcus Freeman where I was like, I didn't understand it, but looking back, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. The fake punt, I think it was like 4th and 5. If you're going to fake it and throw it, I say put Riley Leonard back out there. He's had a great night. If you're going to go for it, just go for it. But doesn't really matter because it kind of worked. And if the receiver catches the ball, it's first down. So not really a bad call. And then what was the other call? Oh, yeah, I think it was in the 4th quarter with like 10 minutes left. He decided to kick a field goal. They missed it. Obviously, looking back, you get 0 points there. You probably would like to go for it. Even with the 3, you still need to stop Ohio State twice. In my opinion, it's still a 2-possession game, and they only stopped them once. So, I mean, when Ohio State wanted to, they could move the ball. You have to think your chances of stopping them back-to-back possessions are slim. I probably would have went for it, but Marcus Freeman gets paid the big bucks for a reason. He had his team in the national championship for a reason, so what do I know, right? All right. Rushing the football, not a great night. They struggled running the football, and I figured they would. Ohio State's defensive front is really, really good, tremendously talented. Riley Leonard, 17 carries, 40 yards, 2.5 per carry. That includes the 2 sacks he had as well, the yardage on that. So probably had a little bit more rushing yards. I'd probably say at least 10 more yards rushing. So that averaged closer to 3. Jadarian Price, 3 for 13, 4.3. Not terrible, not great. 9 was the long. Jeremiah Love, 4 carries, 3 yards. Just a non-factor. Overall, 26 carries, 53 yards, 2 yards a carry and a touchdown. Just not a great night running the ball. And as averages go, now you did get down pretty quickly in the second half. So there wasn't a lot of rushing the ball in the second half in the first place. So maybe if they are in a closer game, they have more success running the ball. I don't know. It didn't seem like it to me. Greathouse. What a game, son. This guy's the NFL player. What year is he? I got to look. Hold on. Sophomore. I knew he was an underclassman. This kid's the truth, bro. This kid's the truth. He had a great night against a good Ohio State secondary. And he caught 1 touchdown late wouldn't even say late, but it was in the third quarter, I know. Just a dime by Riley Leonard, and he got behind the coverage. And they're giving a little cushion too. They're up kind of big. So to catch that ball, outstanding catch. He had 6 for 128, 21.3, and 2 touchdowns. Young man, welcome to primetime college football. What a game. Mitchell Evans, who I said I liked a lot at tight end, I think he was better than any of the tight ends on Ohio State, kind of like I predicted, 4 for 52. Pretty good night, 13 yards per catch. Who was Bo Collins? He a tight end? Wide receiver, okay. I don't remember this guy, but he had a pretty good night. 4 catches, 32 yards, 8. They lacked Fiazon. I thought they probably should have tried to get him the ball, maybe on some screens or something a little more. 1 catch, 6 yards. I think he is the one that dropped the ball on the fake punt. Not sure. Could be wrong there. But regardless, not a great night outside of Mitchell Evans and Greathouse. But when you got something working, that's who you keep going back to. That's who they kept going back to. Pretty solid night on the defense, I thought. I don't know. It could have been because Ohio State was trying to coast. They did give up 28 in a short amount of time, like right at the first possession after half. So I figured they probably needed to keep it around 20 to have a chance to win the game, and that would have been about right. Yeah, that's all I got for as far as stats go. Now I'll dive into a little bit of what I thought of the playoff in general. I like the format. I do. I think we need to adjust how we seed them. No reason Arizona State and Boise State should have gotten a bye. I understand they're conference champions, and that's how it worked this year. And it's the first year of the college playoff. I'm not being like uber critical of anybody. I just think obviously you've seen the format this year, and obviously there needs to be some change. I'm sure they will. I like 12 teams, though. I do. Now, it didn't make the playoff that much more interesting than like a 4-team, other than it was just longer. I like having more games that are more meaningful. So I enjoyed it. I did, even though my team wasn't in it. There were some good football teams in this playoff. Notre Dame making the playoff or making the final is just a salute to Marcus Freeman, I guess. He had a hell of a year. After he lost to Northern Illinois, I would have never picked them to be here, much less be in the game in the fourth quarter. Now, Ohio State, kind of the same thing. It gives good teams second life. In a 4-team playoff, Ohio State's not in the playoff. 100% not in the playoff. You lose 2 games, especially to Michigan, and you already got a shot at Oregon. You're not getting that rematch. You're not getting to run it back. You're out the playoff. Just plain and simple. Notre Dame is probably out the playoff as well, just being honest. I know they were a 7 seed. So, yeah, they're probably not in the playoff. The 4-team playoff probably would have been Texas, Georgia. Maybe Texas. I don't even know if Texas would have been in. But definitely Georgia, Oregon. For sure they're undefeated. Who else? I forgot what the seeding even looked like. Let me go look real quick. Hold on. So you would have had Georgia and Oregon 100% conference champions of the Big Ten and SEC. You probably would have had, I don't know, Texas probably. I would say probably Texas. 2 losses to both the Georgia, close. One of them was close. Was the first one close? Kind of, not really. I don't know who they would have put in, honestly. Maybe Penn State. I don't think Clemson or SMU would have gotten in. Tennessee would have been no. Hell, Texas might have been no, too. They might have put Penn State in that rig. Low key. They lost 2 games, 1 in the conference championship. I don't know. It would have been a complicated year for the 4-team playoff, regardless. I like the amount of teams that are in. I just think we got to tweak how we get them and where we seed them. In my opinion, probably the best way to do it is take the rankings 1 through 12. That's your 12 teams. End of story. Top 4 get teams ranked 1 through 4 get a bye. End of story. So that's how I would have done it from the get-go. But I do understand the committee wanted the conference championships to mean something. If you win one, you might get a bye. So I understand that 100%. But regardless, yeah, pretty good playoff. Early on, we saw a lot of blowouts. I think the only good game in the first round was this Texas-Clemson game was decent. Notre Dame and Indiana ended up being close, but it was never really in doubt. They kind of did the same thing Ohio State did right there. Second round, Notre Dame was kind of a fun game to watch with Georgia. That game was close until the turnover right before half, and then it seemed to be over after that. Penn State, Boise State, it was kind of close for a little bit. Oregon, Ohio State, not fun to watch. Texas and Arizona State, that was a great game. That was fun to watch. You got to feel like if you're Arizona State, you got a chance to win that game. Probably should have won the game regardless. They win. The semifinals were pretty good. Texas gave Ohio State a really good fight. I know the final score was a double-digit win. It was closer than that. Texas was on the doorstep on the 1 yard line, fitting to tie the game up in the fourth quarter, and they run a dumb play, toss, get tackled for a loss, and then get strip sacked for a touchdown. So, and the Notre Dame Penn State game was a great one. Ultimately, I think the best team won. So, congratulations to Ohio State. Ryan Day. What do Ohio State fans think about Ryan Day now? Are they still wanting him fired? I know a lot of them were mad after that Michigan game. Rightfully so. I have no beef with Ohio State fans wanting to beat their rival. But does this make up for it? I would think so, at least for this year. He loses to Michigan again next year, he's going to be on the hot seat again, brother. And he's coming off a national championship. I'm just going to be honest. He needs to find a way to win that game at least once. Win it next year and get the monkey off your back, bro. They should. There's no reason. Looking at how this team played in the playoffs, that game plan was horrendous. They were trying to play to not lose that game instead of going out and beating them. You're better than them. Go beat them. Michigan's going to be tough again next year. I got a feeling they're going to be decent. I'm telling you. But anyway, that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. What a great college football season. Now, where do I go from here? I will still report some news from college football as it comes out. If players are hitting the portal, if teams are getting sanctions or something like that, hint, hint, there may be some sanctions coming for some teams. We'll see. Maybe not. I don't know. You never know. Twitter don't really always know what's going on. I will do maybe a video or two on basketball. I'm a Florida fan after all. We're pretty good this year. So if we make a run, might talk some basketball, although I'm not that knowledgeable on the sport. I know the gist of it, how it works, but I don't know the difference between if we should be running zone or a man-to-man defense. I don't know any of that crap. So anyway, but I am going to be making the transition to college baseball pretty soon. I'm probably going to do a video over the rankings, the preseason rankings that I've seen, and we'll break them down and tell you what I think about them. Other than that, yeah, baseball's right around the corner. I will be doing some reaction videos to some Florida games, to some big college baseball games. And every week, once the baseball season starts, I'm going to do there'll probably be a Monday show recapping on what all occurred on the weekend series and et cetera. But until then, just hang tight with me. The content will be coming out. I hope you guys have a great day. Appreciate it.